Hi there, welcome back to another Touchdesigner tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at doing a liquid displacement effect, and in the video we're going to be going over sort of a simple implementation with it, which is this network of nodes down here. But in the link in the description below, I'll also be including a link to this entire project file, which uses this displacement effect with a particle simulation as well as an audio reactive component, and the final result looks a little something, well that's a very zoomed out version. It looks something like this. It's quite intense and the YouTube compression is probably destroying it, but it's a very intense liquid displacement sort of audio reactive visual. And if that's something you like, you can head over to my Patreon below just for a few bucks a month and get access to download this, and there's another variation of this already posted on there. But otherwise, in today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at the simplest implementation of it and building it from the ground up. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and clear this out, and by the way, this looks like, whoa, didn't mean to show all of that. It looks something like this. So we have our simple banana here, and this is sort of the liquid displacement effects we're going to be creating. And as few nodes as possible, essentially. Awesome. All right, let's dive into it. So the first thing we want to do is we want to initialize what we're actually going to be displacing. Now, this is also a tutorial meant for beginners, so I'm going to do my best to explain what is actually happening along the way, which may extend the length of the video, but we'll do what we can. We're going to grab the movie file in here, and you can drag and drop your own image in as well. And to differentiate from what we just saw, I'm going to click this plus and select a new image. Maybe let's do this flower. Beautiful. Awesome. So the next thing we sort of want to do is we want to connect this to a displace. Now, a displace essentially displaces one source image against the displaced image. So if we plugged both of these in, you can sort of see that the colors are being completely pulled off and squished, and that's because of the default parameters. If we change this extend to repeat, it's going to repeat the image or mirror it. And then if we drag this displace weight, you can sort of see here when it's slightly off that it's been displaced by 0.3 in both directions, so negative 0.3x and negative 0.3y down. And you can sort of see how that effect works with the shape holding here and the background image being displaced. So essentially that's what we're going to do. And so we just need to create a texture to overlay. So I'm going to set those back to default and disconnect that second one. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of noise, like so. I'm going to set the resolution of this to 1920 by 1080. And then the sort of, at least for this effect, I might show a few variations if we have time, is we want to set the puddles, or at least the sizes of the puddles, with this parameter here. So the first thing I'm going to do is change this to Simplex 4D. That's going to allow us to do a transformation of it that's very useful later on. And then I'm sort of just going to maybe pick around there, sort of just fine tune it myself, and I'm going to come back to that later and adjust that if needed. I'm then going to go to this transform tab, and next to translate 4D, I'm going to type in the piece of code ABS capital T time dot seconds, and then I'm going to times it by maybe 0.5. That might be a bit too fast actually. Let's do 0.3, which does like a 4D transformation slowly over time, which sort of just creates this gradual change throughout the noise, which is very useful for us creating an ever-moving liquid. Awesome. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we sort of want to add liquidy elements to this. And the way we're going to do that is with feedback, but specifically a feedback edge, which is when you drop something in a puddle and it creates those ripples of waves. That's basically just a bunch of feedback of that initial ripple, you know, but like the edges are exemplified, and we really want to capture that because it helps gives us the liquidy kind of look, if that makes sense. You can sort of see here when we go to the palette up the top left and go to image filters and then feedback edge and drag and drop that in. You can sort of see what I mean, where the edges are being taken from this image and then being they're being given feedback and weight and all that, which is creating this kind of liquidy kind of look. So when we plug our noise into here, I'm going to click reset pulse. You can already see we're sort of getting the liquid effects that we want. From this point forward, it is just a little bit of fine tuning. Maybe you don't want it as drastic like that. We could drag the edge up a little bit. We could also turn the gain down a little bit if you don't want it growing, or if you want it growing even more like that. But we're going to leave it as is and then do the fine tuning once we have actually configured it all. Awesome. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is connect this to an edge itself. This is a bit of an optional step, but it will give us more control over the displacement later on. Same with the next step, which is we're going to connect this to a slope. This is a trick that I learned recently from a really good friend, and by connecting a slope before we connect into the displace image of a displace, we can get some very fine control over the displacement and sort of really dial in how much we want to be displaced and get much more of a clean look. And now if I plug this one into our displace and then I connect the displace out to a null, and then I'm going to click this blue button here to set it as a background, you can already see that we've kind of got the look that we're going for. And now it's just a matter of, for example, if we disable this edge, it might be a much smoother kind of look, but it's not as defined. But that might be something you like. So let's disable the edge. Then on the slope, maybe we want to turn the strength up, but not so far up. Or maybe you want it very subtle, very light. Maybe in fact you want to incorporate this base image into the noise, like so. And that will sort of create points where it ripples off of that. I think if you even plugged it into the second one here, you will be creating noise based off of this image, which may not be the look you're after, but it also might be. At this point forward, it might just be worth playing around with the feedback strength and the feedback edge top, and sort of playing around with this until you got a look that you like. It's really up to you. Essentially, that is the entire technique. Now, I have one more thing I like to do, which is I get an LFO from my chop. And this is very exemplified in the network up here, but less so in this one. Which is I'm going to use this LFO to control the displace weight like so, where we sort of get this like in and out kind of effect. This may not be something you want to create if you're doing a bit of a puddle look, but I think it can be a really nice way to sort of just add some perpetual movement and motion to your piece. So I've just dragged the frequency down, and then I'm going to click plus and drag this onto our displace weight like so. And you can see here now that it slowly just adds those ripples in and out. And then yeah, like I said, from this point forward, it's really about just sort of creating the look you kind of want. Maybe you want to go for more of a frosted glass look like this. Maybe we want to turn the amplitude right up and then disable that edge. Maybe drag that slope down a tiny bit, or actually like crank it up. Essentially, that's the entire tutorial, keeping it very short today. It's a very simple technique, but if you're interested, I'll quickly explain what is going on to achieve the effect up here. So you can see that here we are combining different types of noises, and we're creating different kinds of liquids, just more textural ones, like so. And by the time we reach this feedback edge, or maybe it's easy to see here, you can see that we've sort of created a very specific look. And then we have the LFO attached to some maths. This noise essentially gives it a bit of randomness to this pulsing effect that we have going on. If I disable that, you can see we also have a transform layer going on. If I disable that one as well. And then I'm going to go down and disable the plant. You can essentially see that we have this particle sim here. Very simple, just lots of effects going on that flashes with the audio reactivity. And then this particle sim is being dragged back and forth against the liquid, which sort of creates this very liquidy sort of feel when you really feel points where it's like getting strongly displaced versus elements where it's parts where it's not being strongly displaced. This project file is available for download, like I said, in my Patreon link below. I feel like if you want something a little bit more complicated that you want to try dissect and figure out, this is the place to do it. The liquid displacement is happening mostly here with the particle post-processing effects here, and then all the particle generation happening in these components up here. I have a lot of different ones going on. It's a really, really messy file, but it should allow you to play around and create something very complicated. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's tutorial. If you have enjoyed this and you found it useful, a like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. I hope this effect is simple enough for most people to pick up. But otherwise, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll catch you on the next one.